What's up, world? It's your girl, Cheryl Pearl, back with another video for these god darn Housewives of Atlanta, season 17, episode 7. And this was a super sad episode, so it went an hour and 15 minutes. So I ain't got all day, so we're gonna get it started. Everything I say is alleged, strictly my opinion, entertainment purposes. So yeah, if you got with that, then you got with me, and we gonna get on with it. So the name of this episode, let's start off. It's called Dynasty, Diamonds, and Drama. So the episode starts off, they still on a party buzz. Kelli and Porsha still going back and forth. It leaves off at the comment where, who wanna scissor with you? That hot chili tea burrito. You know, the shit she put in her kids' lunch that day. Um, you know. So Porsha basically says that it was sometime last year in Miami, and she took a whole bath and she was watching it, and she got a look at that platinum puss. Now, Porsha, boo boo, you know you my girl, and I don't want this video to be an hour, but girl, it sound like you lying. And then y'all was on the elevator and you hurry up and jumped off so she didn't come to your room and watch TV, girl. It's baby. And then Shamia in her confessional told me some, when did this happen? But in Portia's defense, Shamia, y'all beefed out. You're a butthurt friend. You ain't gonna have her back no way. So anyway, Kelli says, well, Portia says, can you imagine a mouse on a lion nest? You know, another dig at how short. So they going back and forth, and Portia basically tells her, I tried to make amends with you. I sent you flowers, but you know, you ain't want to be cool, so you can stick them up your ass. And so Kelli basically says, I don't need this. You can stick them up your ass. You need a rose. And then the conversation turns to the rose. And if y'all not familiar with the rose, it's a sex toy. You know, they got different variations. You know, they used to be online, and they totally turned the conversation to that. You know, it was some other little shit that they said prior to the rose, but you know, Portia basically was still like, you know, you mess with a married man, you're mad, you tried to call and shush him, and they keep saying, who I try. I wish that you would say it. I don't even give a damn if us as the audience don't know who you talking about. Like Bravo can beep it out, but baby, we know that this shit is all receipts. Okay? And I'm gonna need receipts on everything because I low key believe it because this girl losing restaurants allegedly. Let me put it up there. You know, it doesn't seem like she in the best financial. She just sent her daughter to college. She in a townhouse with 4 kids. Girl, I mean, if you was out there trying to get you some little change, it wouldn't be too far fetched, especially if it's somebody who really got it. So that's why we gonna need to know. Y'all can beep it out. Andy can know. Whatever. Y'all trying to protect the wife. Is y'all cool with the wife? He shouldn't have been out here cheating. So especially if he calling, if the story goes, he called Dennis to say, guess who I hit? Like it was Beyonce or somebody. Baby, don't nobody give a damn about Kelli getting knocked off. That's just weird. But maybe they let them know because you know they cool with people on the show and just wanted to get some gossip. But anywho, so they get to talking about the roles and Cynthia talking about it only take her a minute, she be out. Portia, like when I got it, I stared at it for 30 minutes. Well, Portia, baby, it seems like your action don't stop, baby. So what the hell you doing with a rose on them off days? And then Shamia, who always got to say something, you know, look at me, look at me. I wet up my whole bed. Well, baby, that is one thing I do believe. Because when I look at you and Jared, honey, Jared don't look like he can handle you, and you so overly sexualized. And that's what I keep saying in all my videos. You got 2 daughters, you about what, mid-40s, 44. And yeah, you got it and you got your body done. But girl, it's on display for everybody. We all looking, honey. So Juro probably, I ain't gonna say what I'm gonna say, but I was gonna say, with his other family in Africa or Nigeria, wherever the hell he from. But girl, his nationality can have multiple wives. So I don't know. Allegedly, this just my thought process. Yeah, but yeah, it seemed like you would wet up a bed because it ain't seem like that's hitting on nothing. You know. Anywho, but anyway, so Pinky was like, all of us can use it, Yeah, we know, Pinky, you using it on that woman in that basement, girl. Allegedly. I ain't saying you better holler at Angela because she's sticking to it. So K Michelle was looking like, damn, y'all go at it. And then it's just normal. Y'all go back. And Cynthia lets her know, yeah, but sometimes it lingers. And that is the difference from the jump from VH1 to Bravo, baby. We are going to get an issue. We're going to resolve it, or it's going to linger. It's going to be a beef throughout the season. And ain't nobody shaking the table. So they arrive at the restaurant, and Pinky is bent. Do you hear me? She be lying straight to the bathroom, talking about she gotta pee. And girl, pee, throw up shit. They got her shoes off. It was just. There's a saying that I used to hear when I was a kid, and it goes a little something like this: "A drunk ain't shit." But yeah. So, she goes straight to the bathroom. She missed the whole dinner. So, Cynthia lets them know that she want to do something fun. She want to crown whoever got the best dress, Miss Tequila. She got somebody coming with gowns if they want to pick something. They gonna have somebody letting them model diamonds. Whatever. So, they get to talking, and they basically, at some point, Cynthia go check on Pinky, and that's when we really know for sure as the audience that she all the way bent. And they was like, yeah, because you don't want to get in trouble. And when you the host, you should go check on people that's coming. So, whatever. So anyway, she go in there and ask her if she needs some bread or something. And she was like, bring her a ginger ale. And ginger ale, or here in Michigan, we say Vernors and some plain chips, Lay's. Get that thing right in control. So basically, Drew asks K Michelle, is she okay? Because she was feeling a certain way. And K Michelle lets it be known that, I've been standoff with you because, you keep talking about this black and trying to compare me to messing with this guy or knowing him. And, she a whole married woman and the hoopla. Girl, we tired of it. You've been married all but of 5 minutes, baby. You are in an annulment stage, okay? And you're trying to be like, she has something deeper. Like Drew is trying to make it seem like you had something deeper with him. And I don't get that. I don't know if that was going to come down the pipeline, but I think it's just trying to have a connection to you. Oh, my friend Black. That's what I'm getting. And I could be wrong. It got to reveal itself. So, anywhere in that same dinner, somebody orders some oysters, right? And so, Porsha said she got to check the oysters, and she started going through them, talking about that vagina is clean, and this one might have a little scent. And the camera, the first time I watched, I didn't even peep it. I'm just like, because I don't eat oysters. I don't give a shit about that. So I ain't peep it. But the second time I watched it, because of all the Twitter fingers came Michelle doing and all the hoopla that came down on Sunday night and Monday, and her and Porsha getting into it, I was like, well, let me kind of see. And they kind of flashed to Drew's face or whatever. But here's the thing about that. Let me put my allegedly up. Didn't Kelli say that she was abused by her husband? allegedly, okay, or any woman for that fact, that would be on the same scale as somebody trying to make fun of you about abuse. Okay. And let me tell you something, K Michelle. You done brought up something that I remember driving to work listening to, I believe his name was Mano. And the other guy, Uncle Murder, who hang with 50 Cent and them, and they was talking. And I actually took a screenshot. Let me see where it's at of the article. Now you keep saying from 8 years ago. What I'm seeing is it says two rappers made the disparaging remarks about K. Michelle, Uncle Murder, and Maida. Uncle Murder initially made this claim during a 2015 radio interview and later repeated it on the Breakfast Club on Power 105.1. He claimed that 5 different men had told him about an odor, from down below. And Mano echoed the rumors during his own interview and podcast appearance, which prompted K. Michelle to threaten a defamation lawsuit against. Now, I, I don't really, uh, I mean, it's almost like, to me, this is just my opinion. It can make no sense to anybody. I don't give a damn. But it's almost like people always be like, my mama cook, my mama can cook, my mama can cook. And then you taste and you be like, this shit's so mediocre. I mean, if they saying it's a little stitch, it's their opinion. My issue is why is it so many of them, girl? And that to me lends more to everybody got a pass. And you have a pass, K Michelle. And it does seem like you don't fit in this crowd because yes, sometimes your past will rehash, but to somebody to bring to the forefront that you might not be fresh down there, that's some dirty ass shit. That's why it's hard for me to believe. It really is. It really is. Especially from so long ago. And then Mano, is that the one you dated? He's saying it. So what I ask is, where is Memphis, the one off of, that married Toya Johnson, Lil Wayne baby mama, and see what he got to say. So when we start landing all these men's up and they got the same story, then baby, it could be, if this video finds its way to you, it could be diet, it could be you're not drinking enough water, it could be a STD that you didn't know you had. Shit, I don't know. Yeast, bacteria infection. I don't know. It could be. I mean, it's these people. It, I don't know. I don't know, girl. I don't know. But that is a horrible rumor, and I see it would actually pack on trauma. But I guess if you had one person saying it, then that's just like how women get mad at a guy and be like, his thing small anyway. But if you get multiples, baby, it speaks more about your history and being a little loosey goosey than the scent, okay? Because it shouldn't be no more than one or two people talking about it if that's the case. But if it's multiple, then there lies the issue for me. So, K Michelle, before she gets real emotional, cause Shamia asked her how she feeling, and she seemed upset on the bus. And K Michelle said, "I be trying to be holy. It's a lot of stuff I want to say, but I just don't." And see, baby, here's your opportunity. That's what we're here for, discussions and how your problem resolution and how you going to handle things. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So Shamia basically says, I want you to know you're in a safe space. And K Michelle said, this shit ain't safe. Y'all beating the hell out of each other. But that is the environment. It's not love and hip hop, but can be hostile. It have been fights, it have been people Twitter wars for months, it have been people let go for different things, girl. It's still in a environment where the world is looking and chaos has to happen for it to be a show. And if you thought you weren't ready for that, girl, you should have bowed the hell out. I don't know what you want to be, like this grand country music, R&B. I got it. I'm married to a dentist, but all I see, and I will keep saying it each video until I see different, is an insecure woman, baby. And I'ma just be real with you. If you went and laid on the table and got some shit in your ass because you need your ass to be bigger for attention, then baby, all of that shit lends to some type of mental illness. And I don't give a damn how many people, I don't care if you watch my damn video and had enhancement. It's scientific proof. I read the studies that shit lends to body image and whatever. I met girls, I'd be like, girl, I ain't never had an ass. I'm gonna have me an ass. This is, you could do this. What, you can spin it however you want, baby. It lends to not being happy with yourself. And then it's this group of guys that's saying different stuff. It just, I done never bought that shit out. They would have had to put that shit out, put that shit on the table, and then I would have addressed it. Now you got the whole world, just like I Googled it, going to look. So anyway, um Porsha basically coddles her, so to speak, and was like, what's going on? Oh, I brought you into this group, and if it's something I can get with it or whatever, whatever. So, whatever. I'm jumping ahead. That's actually at the house. I just ugh. I don't know, Kay. It just don't feel like you fitting in, baby. You gave us drama this episode, but it just don't feel like you fitting in. So they wanna also while they there address the issue with Kelli and Porsha. And Porsha basically says she want to check herself. She ain't that same person, and she wants to take back everything she said on the bus about her failing businesses, and whatever. She ain't take back that married man because she would never want to bring a woman down like that. And she was like, they can have a conversation. But Kelli was like, we're good. And Porsha was like, I received that and I can move on. And that's what you should do. Never pander to a bitch who can't do nothing for you. So they're like, cheers, cheers to that. And the whole time during this dinner, Pinky is in the bathroom. It's just, she come out, she got on some slippers around her feet, like it must have been horrible, So the K Michelle and the black thing, it just seemed like misdirecting anger because, she want to go at Drew or find a reason for Drew. Maybe it shouldn't have been another singer on here. So, that's K Michelle gone with that. And she actually touches on the only way I know him. He be in my DMs, which you should have led with from episode 1. He be in liking my little sister pictures, and I got a whole husband. Girl, if you say that shit through this whole season, I'm gonna tear your ass up. Okay? Because to me, it seems like Memphis, Tennessee girl didn't think she could ever have a dentist. And then rappers, trap boys, scammers. I don't know if that might have been like the girls in your neighborhood, if that's what they got in line, and you're just like, hey, I got me a dentist. Girl, we believe it. We see it. Can you believe it too? Damn. I don't want to hear shit about my husband. Girl, bye. So, or maybe you would have got the guy working at Walmart. I don't know. But girl, we know. He is a dentist. You are married. You are doing country. We got it. We're clear. So she basically said she joined this group so she could connect. She ain't joined this group so she could be connected to somebody jump off. She's still coming in hot for Drew. And Kelli basically is starting to stir the pot to Drew, like that's her forever man. Was like, you didn't know he was in her DM. Drew was like, he is single. He can be in her DMs. He can date whoever he want, and that shuts that shit down. But wear a tag, Drew. Just kidding. So Cynthia says she feels like each of the ladies, that that Kay keep bringing up Black, and we feel like she keep bringing it up too. But after that oyster comment and the vagina is clean, it just seemed like mental illness. So can't nobody even scratch their nose around you, K Michelle. You gonna be like, what you trying to say? What they trying to say? Girl, go on with that shit. Get that shit in check. You could be mental ill, but realize it, accept it, and get you some help. Other than that, you gonna get what you get. So, Shamia back there sitting next to Kay, like, yeah, she should care about him. Then Drew peeps it, says, Shamia doing all this whispering and all that, and trying to keep beef going. She can't. So her and Shamia get into it, but here's this shit. Shamia already knew what was going on anyway, so they talk about Porsha low key want her life. Shamia wants her life. And K Michelle says K Michelle just, I don't know. It's just going back and forth. Shamia being petty with Drew, because Drew seems like an easy target. She the little actress, Prissy Prince or whatever. So K Michelle basically tells Shamia, girl, you need to calm that down. It don't seem like you wanted to resolve nothing with her. And she basically like, I'm not gonna be the fall guy for they mess and they plotting and planning. This plotting word is getting beat like a dead horse. So she asked her, you ain't grew up in the hood. And Shamia was like, no. And she was like, yeah, I could tell. We need to drop you off in the hood. And all that is in plain text, Shamia, is like, the way you moving, if you get with the right one, they gonna check that ass, whether they check it verbally or check it chin. So that's all she was saying with that. You need to slow down with all that antagonistic shit with Drew. Either you want something with Drew or you don't. And the whole thing about it, you don't want nothing with Drew because you feel like she cool with Porsha. And you so butthurt about your bestie who you was a hanger on for so many years. And we can't unsee that, girl. We cannot see that. So they wind up leaving, whatever. So it's the next day. And they supposed to come down with no makeup on for breakfast or whatever. So Pinky comes down and skin glowing and everything. You look better without makeup to me, but I see a little shine on them, like some powder is on. So I don't think all of them really did not do no makeup. I don't think that. So when Pinky comes down, she says she feel good. She thanks Cynthia for the bread, ginger ale, water Pinky had. Cynthia had your back. And so she asks about dinner. She was like, did everybody have fun? So everybody is at the breakfast table except for one person. K Michelle. She up there Twitter fingers, but we'll get to that. So they kind of say it was okay, real dry. And Pinky looking like, oh, was it? So Angela basically lets it be known she knocked on K Michelle's door, but she ain't answer. So Phaedra go up there to check on it. So when Phaedra come back, she basically says she'll be down. She relaxed and she just taking a minute. And I guess she trying to calm herself down so she don't get all out of control. So Cynthia let them know about the jeweler, and he gonna drip y'all in some diamonds, and they talk about, oh, it's a bust down. So Drew, like, a bust down is a weave with a part down the middle that's all black, or a bust down like freak, like what they trying to say about you. No, I ain't gonna go there too soon. But so Kay comes down there, and Pinky asked her the same thing. How was dinner? Well, I don't know if Pinky knew, but Shamia and Kelli knew at that time. But they in a clique, so who knows? So Angela says at dinner, you said you didn't feel safe. Is that true? And K Michelle says, no. And then she starts to cry. And I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with Kay? She says, y'all sit here and say y'all care about people when y'all be plotting on a nigga. So If I know a motherfucker sitting plotting my hurt, I'm not gonna smile in your face. So Porsha get up. Oh, is there anything we can do? Who is it? Who is it? And that was your opportunity, K Michelle. Be like, bitch, it's you. I heard what the fuck you did. I talked to such and such, blah, 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 and get it on the table, baby. That's how you shoot up with the fans. And you might not be here for the fans. You might be here to promote your country. I don't know. But baby, when the realness shines through the camera. So, Porsha, like, I feel responsible. I brought you around this group. Is it me? So again, no silence. It ain't no opportunity to say nothing. And she basically, like, I see every goddamn thing. Someone called her last night and let her know of the plot and the plan. This is her in her confessional. And she's implying something about when Porsha did the oyster thing and whatever. And like I said, I was able to Google the situation, and the world gonna be able to Google the situation. So Porsha is like, it's 8 of us, outside of you. Can you tell us what was said or who was it? So, Angela notices Shamia's face with all this twisting and turning. And she said, it seemed like something because your face, you making the same faces you was making last night. So Shamia gets all defensive, says, because I know how this group is. I know about the fabrication and the plotting and the manipulation. They beating all these words to death. Girl, who plotted on you? Didn't you drink some water out of Kenya's thing and thought it was a joke and it landed flat? Here's the thing, Shamia, your body is tea. Like the doctor, you should have tipped him. Okay? But that shit that Porsha got to command the attention of the room, her personality or whatever, that's not nothing that you can learn, baby. You either got it or you don't. And you don't. With all your enhancements and in your beautiful house and your African husband, baby, you do not got it. We don't get that. All your name brands and everything. And the thing about it, baby, you could have been weaning your way all the time. You was a friend to the show when apparently your husband and still didn't want to be on here. So we used to you being her lapdog. Now you coming up like trying to be main character, but you ain't giving main character. That's something you're giving off that we just can't feel through the screen, boo. And you seem bothered by it. So K Michelle is bawling like a mother. She also in her confessional lets her know that she went to Kelli and Shamia and told them what was up. And she talking about she know the blog you reached out to, this, that. She talking about trying to connect her to black and this, that, and the other. I mean, it's just really, really sad. So Angela is standing her guard with Shamia. Shamia going back and forth with her, whatever. It's just like Porsha lets it be known. I heard Shamia at the end of the table yesterday telling you there's no way Drew feels like that. So they insert Drew back in it. Her and Drew go back again. So Drew and Shamia going back and forth, and it's just bullshit. Nobody cares. So Porsha is tired of pandering to K Michelle and it's basically like, well, I'm gonna let her sit in it, and that's what you do, Porsha. When a bitch ain't got enough puss to get out here and say what it is, then let her sit in that shit, and whenever you're ready, we'll hear. Okay? So, yeah. So she go outside with Shamia, Kelli, and Peggy, and she's still upset. She's still crying, talking this shit that she ain't letting them know, She's talking about these women dealt with gossip and been judged, and then they want to try to bring a rumor, this and that. Girl, none of that has been solidified unless you put it on the table or reveal your source. And you talking about they trying to cause you more trauma. The men cause you trauma. I really believe it's hard to go tell a bitch that's we heard that your cooch stank. I mean, seriously, because I ain't gotta fucking smell it. I ain't down there near it or whatever. So it's like, baby, I'm fresh. So I'm gonna let it be. So she out there doing the most, pint size ass. She was like, it's just a build up. And when I get to where I'm getting, I'm gonna cuss all their ass out. Well, come on, baby, bring it. Because we know Porsha can handle it. Drew talking about and I'm getting ahead. She might have had to go to Chicago. We ain't saying you go to Chicago. You should have went to Chicago on Ralph ass. So back in the room, we got Phaedra, Cynthia. I think they in Cynthia room. They like it's a big bed, and they all trying to figure out what's going on and what's the group plot and this, that, and the other. Is Porsha, Drew, Cynthia, Phaedra, and Angela. So we flash back to K Michelle, and K Michelle is still going off, and she kind of lets Pinky know what's going on, and that some evil shit was said. And Pinky says, some shit like, "Oh, she was fanning you, and she was rubbing your knee." But girl. Then what I didn't like, K Michelle, you talks about she been selling this synthetic hair. So now you coming for businesses, girl, whatever. It's fair game. Because when you mess with my money, baby, everything is fair game. And I just, instead of going to her, and then she don't have to seemingly address that. So let's see, after that. Oh, she makes a comment in her confessional about Drew. So she hit Porsha with a dagger. She's selling synthetic hair over there in the Buford Highway, and you fighting over it for your life with a man in the basement. You need to worry about that man in the basement. You shouldn't worry about if my stuff smell like sardines or a Glade candle. But you sure worried about it. So what was very telling, K Michelle, to the insecurity is you said that this ain't the same vagina you had in the last 8 years. It's been tightened, snip, tuck. Girl. So something was going on with it since you had to get work to it. Did you think that we was gonna look at it like that? Because I'm looking at it like that. But anyway, Shamia fan in the flames, want everybody. She want to be the head bitch in charge. It ain't gonna happen. But I hope it's yours and Shamia's last season, because if we're not gonna be able to get people to put it on the floor and people scared, like last year she was so-called scared to tell Porsha that why you didn't root for me when I got a peach and this and that. We ain't gonna have people who can go straight forward. Then we don't need them on the show. So in the room, Angela basically says, well, Shamia wears whatever she's feeling on her face. And when you bought up Porsha, she makes these expressions. She do because she jealous. With all her growing up super, super middle class and getting this African and this and that. And how long she been with the African? Who was she with before that? Then she had some struggling relationship. She been just sitting watching for Porsha. Because who was she with when Porsha was with Cordell before she got on the show? Your bestie, who you grew up since a child, is NFL wife and this and that. I just think it seems like an ongoing hater issue. So Porsha basically just like, we gonna move on. So they trying to see if Shamia is putting a battery in K Michelle back, because they feel like she knows something, and they know she knows something. She confirms she knows something. So Drew says in the room, and who said that Phaedra was eating dead people? So they never even told Phaedra that it was revealed that they said she was eating dead people. And yeah, so She was like, she chop them up and she get them together and things like that. But she ain't eat no dead people. But it was Pinky, and Cynthia was real clever. She didn't even say who it was, but she was like, it was one of the two. That's right, Cynthia. Keep the drama down. That's old bitch shit. So back at the other pool house, uh Shamia done put on this little bikini set, ass popping, look like it ain't healed from the BBL, allegedly. But and body just whatever. So she decides to go over there, no cover up on. She want to show Porsha what she working with, apparently. And she want to go check everybody about putting her name and everything. And she also wants K Michelle to clear it up. That she don't be talking about people. She ain't put no battery in her back and everything. And Cynthia lets it be known, I apologize if I keep looking at your ass. Now, Cynthia, I don't know if in your modeling days that you was doing a little experimenting, but girl, you too old. Go on to your old man. Stop all that, girl. So Angela peeps it. She was like, she came over here to show off her BBL. She did. Girl, y'all, ooh, Atlanta, Jesus, y'all, LGBT down. So, they basically, Shamia is basically like, this on my facial expressions. I want to clear my name. I ain't tell her about nothing and this, that, and or other. Porsha says that K Michelle felt like she was plotted and planned down. And is it Shamia saying that? And she says, that's why I'm here talking to y'all. Because I don't want to make them, I don't want y'all to make me the fall person. That's what Shamia said. So what y'all do is manipulate, plot and plan out in Senegal. Ain't nobody plot and planned on you. You plot and planned on that damn African to get you some money up. So basically they're steadily asking K Michelle, what is the issue? What was said? What is plotted and planned down? She just like she ain't ready to speak about it. So you know, it flashed back to the oyster scene, and then she getting emotional again. So who she come for? What she think is the easy target, Drew, and brings up the black situation again. And Drew was like, I only brought that up one time. And she was like, you telling people this and that. So I guess the rumor is that they trying to say she was with this guy Black who Drew was with, and that her vagina stank, and they was going to blogs and they was gonna blame it up. I think that's an uncomfortable conversation for a woman to go tell another woman that, especially if you ain't slept with the bitch. Then you got solid proof. So Drew stands up, they getting into it, and Hey Michelle had to be held back by Porsha effortlessly. Porsha had like one little arm on K Michelle. You think you gonna go up against a lioness? A mouse? But yeah, so anyway, she, that Drew Black and K Michelle shit is dead in the water to me. We moving on because I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm already running out of time. And so K Michelle get hot and say, why would I want a man a moment? So Drew basically says, you just need a moment. And she's like, why would I want a moment for you when you got a man in the basement? And Drew was like, that's just my life, whatever. I'm going to excuse myself, this, that, and the other. So Drew removes herself and go on. And K Michelle was like, yeah, go away, MC Hammer. I guess because her pants was kind of wide. But I mean, you coming in strong, K Michelle. And if it's that much trauma for some guys attacking your character or attacking your twat, bitch, go get some therapy. Go to a sex therapist if need be. No, I'm just kidding, but go get some therapy. So Phaedra in her confessional was like, uh, K Michelle went back to Memphis with that one with them reads. Yeah, K Michelle, we know her from Love and Hip Hop. She could be downright nasty. So Kelli, they disperse, and Kelli says Drew is sneaky, always throwing rocks and had in her hands. Ain't you the same bitch that said Pinky eat meat with the vegan restaurant, but your ass ain't copped to it yet? So hopefully it's brought up at the reunion. But since y'all all and got in this little alliance, you probably. She probably cool with it at this point. But she thought Phaedra was messing up her business and her girl was messing up her business. So Drew get to the room. She called Black, and Black let it be known. Yeah, maybe she flirt with her. He told her she was looking good, this, that, and the other, and whatever. So it's time to get ready to go to Cynthia's gala. So so um back on the patio, Angela and Shamia get into it, and she's basically like, you're not over this Porsha shit, and you think me and Drew became the demise, and this, they don't need to be friends, and obviously they were never true friends. We ain't gonna be the dead horse there. And she basically tells Angela, I think you messy as fuck. That's your nature. And, they going back and forth. Angela ain't no punk. She there for the bullshit. So Angela also tells her, in the midst of them going back around, turn around. And she gladly turns around. She was like, because you just came to shut off that BBL. So, so anyway, they start getting ready for the gala and everything. They got their dresses on and everything. Don't none of them really look that great. Porsha wore a old ass reunion dress, and I'm like, Porsha, is the money drying up, baby? Is the mortgage a lot? I ain't like it. K Michelle looked okay, in her little petite dress. We recycling dresses. Drew, and these platinum wigs. She got a whole room full of wigs. I'm like, baby, I need to see some edges. So Drew basically apologized to Cynthia and tells her shot time almost came out and lets her know she has a headache and she just gonna meet them there. She ain't gonna ride with them. And I think that's a cop out to, they get them in these small places and restaurants on buses so you can argue. And I think Drew just don't want to argue with K Michelle no more. So they jump on the party bus, everybody except for Drew. Cynthia receives a car. It's typhooning, it's a hurricane and everything. And the party planner, he is so emotional. I'm like, go to plan B, nigga. Damn. It's not that serious. Shit. So they move. It was supposed to be outside. They moving inside. That seemed like an easy fix. That's all you got to do. But I guess maybe the decorations and the pictures may have looked better outside. I don't know. I don't care. So they get there, and K Michelle Hudson is there. She lets it be known she got into it with somebody. He looking like, bitch, there you go with your bullshit. Pinky Cole husband is there, and I don't see 5 million nowhere. Porsha actor man, oh, let me put it up, is there, and he get her some gold roses, and so basically they do a contest of who is Miss Tequila. They go one by one on the crowd cheers. They don't know who to give it to, so Cynthia gives it to everybody. As Miss Tequila, she was gonna give it to herself, which she should have. And Cynthia basically makes a statement that this trip that she planned was a lot. It was, She don't want to play in the next one. She don't give a damn what they do after this. This shit been a lot, from the dirty rooms to this, to that, to this, the arguments, the, you file bankruptcy, woman in the basement. Cynthia is over it. And at the end of the day gone in. So Drew gets there. Drew looked nice, Her face, her makeup is beat, her hair is nice. Drew basically got there at the end. So Drew basically missed the damn event. But she looked nice, but I think maybe with the shit she going with Ralph and whatever, it was planned that way. She just tired of the drama, and yeah, she got there at the end, like it was all over. And yeah, that was pretty much the episode. So it was a good episode. It was an extra 15 minutes for the drama. Again, like I said, I'm standing 10 toes down. K Michelle, that is a horrible rumor to be known by. That's fucking devastating. And then you got multiple dudes saying that shit. But baby, if they didn't bring that shit to the story, ain't no way in hell I would have bought that up. I wouldn't have bought that up. We don't need to talk about your ass shots and them dripping and this, that, and other. I don't know what your relationship is with like women, with your mom or whatever, because sometimes when people don't have a good relationship with their mom, it sets the tone for how they receive other women, because the first woman that you like and love is supposed to hold you dear. And maybe if that didn't happen, you just gonna go through life just not really feeling females. I don't know. I would be curious to see who is in your friend group. What does it consist of? Is it employees, or is it real true ass friends that you could call? But it do seem like you got some issues, baby, and it need to be your last season. Yeah, you could read, yeah, you could this and that, but baby, at the end of the day, it gotta make sense though. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody know. You ain't addressing shit. You ain't putting shit on the table. We need to know, baby. They need to know so we can see how they respond, or we can see if they ass do look guilty. And you're not doing that, honey. But anyway, that's all I got. I ain't got no more. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell your mama about it. Send the shit to K Michelle. I don't give a damn. But that's all I got. I ain't got no more. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.